Good evening, you're watching To The Point. I'm Preeti Choudhry. So what till yesterday was an advisory, today has become an order. What I'm talking about is an order that has come in from no one else but directly from the top, the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, that along the Kanwar Yatra route across Uttar Pradesh, all eateries, all shops, even handcarts of fruits will now need to display the names of the owners. While opinion is split whether this is transparency versus bigotry, what's really happened is it split the NDA itself. Why do I say that? Well, number one, while Uttarakhand and the state of Uttar Pradesh, both, even Uttarakhand, Chief Minister Dhami has said that this is, for the basis of faith, for the purpose of, the purity of faith and nothing else. Yogi Adityanath himself has given an order that this needs to be done for the entire route in Uttar Pradesh. Bihar, which is run by the ally of the BJP, the JDU, has said that nothing doing. We are not going to ask those whose shops are right next to the Kanwar Yatra route, and it's about 100 kilometers, the Kanwar Yatra route in the state of Bihar. We are not going to ask people to display their names. Not just that, you've had the RLD, an ally of the Bharatiya Janata Party in Uttar Pradesh, come out and said that this is not right. This actually creates a communal atmosphere. Not just the RLD, you have the JDU, KC Tyagi, who's echoed the same. Not just that, you have Chirag Paswan of the LJP, who's bought in 5 seats for the Bharatiya Janata Party in the NDA alliance, saying he's completely against this diktat.
Now, not just Muzzafarnagar, but the entire Kanwar Yatra route in UP and Uttarakhand will need eateries, handcarts, shops to display the names of owners. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has issued an order directing all shops on routes taken by covered pilgrims to display the names of the owners. Many shops have already started displaying names of their owners. This tea stall in Muzzafarpur was called Chai Lovers Point earlier. But after the diktat from the administration, the shop has changed its name to Vakil Ahmed Tea Stall.
कुछ दिन पहले तक ये चाय लवर्स पॉइंट हुआ करता था। खतौली मुजफ्फरनगर वाले हाईवे पे एक चाय की दुकान है छोटी सी, लेकिन अब उसका नाम बदल गया है, वकील अहमद टी स्टॉल हो गया है। ऊपर देखेंगे तो प्रोपराइटर वकील अहमद नाम दिखाई देगा।
In another instance, Sangam Shuddh Bhojanalay became Salim Shuddh Shakahari Bhojanalay.
सरकार अपनी जिम्मेदारियों से भागने का काम करती है और फिर इधर उधर की बातें करनी शुरू कर देते हैं। कांवड़ियों के लिए तो हम लोग हमेशा स्वागत सम्मान और सब जगह शिविरों के अंदर काम सारे मुसलमान नहीं करते रहते थे। कोई मुसलमान और हिंदू की नफरत है कहीं, तो ये आप नफरत की बात जो कर रहे हो इससे कोई फायदा नहीं, और कांवड़ी के वालों के ऊपर इस पर कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा। हमें आपस में मोहब्बत प्यार है, मोहब्बत प्यार रहेगा, आपके एजेंडे से भटकने वाले लोग नहीं है।
Priyanka Gandhi also tweeted calling the move unconstitutional. Uttar Pradesh Minister Kapil Dev Agarwal alleged that Muslims under the garb of Hindu names are selling non-vegetarian food to pilgrims.
विशेष रूप से देखने में ये आया है कि कुछ लोग अपनी दुकानों के नाम, ढाबों के नाम, रेस्टोरेंट के नाम हिंदू धर्म के नाम पर लिखते हैं, और जबकि चलाने वाले उनके मुस्लिम लोग होते हैं। मुझे यहाँ तक भी कोई आपत्ति नहीं। दिक्कत यहाँ आती है कि जब वो अपनी दुकान में नॉनवेज बेचते हैं।
The Uttarakhand government too has made it mandatory for shop owners in Haridwar to display their names.
उस दिन हमने निर्णय किया था, क्योंकि इसके पीछे हेतु यह है कि अनेक लोगों ने इस बारे में कहा है कि बाद में कई बार बहुत वैसी स्थिति पैदा होती है कि नाम बदल के लोग जो है अपनी पहचान छुपा के जो है दुकान खोल रहे हैं या कोई अन्य कारोबार कर रहे हैं, तो ठीक नहीं है। सबका आइडेंटिफिकेशन होना चाहिए, जो भी है। अपनी पहचान छिपाने में किसी को क्या दिक्कत है?
While shops along the Kanwar Yatra route through Uttarakhand and Uttar Pradesh will need to comply with this, now an order and not just an advisory, NDA ally JDU has refused to comply with it in Bihar. As the Kanwar Yatra route enters Bihar, the diktat will not hold. The Yogi government decision has seen the first big split in NDA allies.
इससे बड़ी कांवड़ यात्रा बिहार में निकलती है, वहाँ इस तरह का कोई आदेश नहीं है। और फिर प्रधानमंत्री जी की जो व्याख्या है भारतीय समाज के बारे में, एनडीए के बारे में, सबका साथ, सबका विकास और सबका विश्वास, ये लगाए गए प्रतिबंध इस नियम के विरुद्ध है।
मैंने कई एमएलओ के भी बयान पढ़े हैं, सुने हैं, मिनिस्टर भी बोल रहे हैं, क्या शराब पीने से धर्म भ्रष्ट नहीं होता है? मीट खाने से होता है। तो ये शराब पर पाबंदी क्यों नहीं है? ये शराब पर क्यों नहीं बोलते हैं लोग? चूंकि शराब का जो कारोबार करते हैं वो एक नेक्सस है और वो बड़े लोगों का खेल है, और ये छोटी छोटी दुकानें जो गरीब लोग लगाते हैं सिर्फ इन्हीं पर उंगली उठाने का काम है। मैं कहता हूं मेरी मांग है कि शराब भी बंद करो।
LJP's Chirag Paswan slammed the diktat, saying, "Don't support any divide on caste and religion." Kanwar Yatra is set to begin on Monday. The religious festival this time is mired in a political, religious, communal and a constitutional storm. Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, the question that it leads to right now very clearly is at one side you have a segment which says this is outright bigotry. On the other side, the BJP says very clearly this is nothing but to protect the purity of faith. And in midst of all of this, you've had the allies of the Bharatiya Janata Party come out strongly and slam their own allies on this diktat, making things a tad bit difficult for the Bharatiya Janata Party. So transparency or bigotry, which one is it? Let's take it to our panelists this evening. Charu Pragya, National Spokesperson, Bharatiya Janata Party; Dolly Sharma, National Spokesperson, Congress; Ashutosh, author, political analyst; Raghav Awasthi, political analyst, all with us. We'll be joined by our political spokespersons in a short while from now. But Raghav Awasthi, do you not see this putting the BJP in a bit of a catch-22 situation? Because yes, you've had Uttarakhand, you've had Uttar Pradesh say that this is to protect the purity of faith, but their own ally who runs Bihar says absolutely not. This flies against the very diktat of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas.
I think what Mr. Tyagi has expressed is his own view. And if the parties are in alliance, as long as the alliance remains intact and the BJP remains at 240 seats, which is much higher than whoever is second, and I don't think there is any danger to the government. But coming to the merits of the matter, it's very important. There are many shops that display halal certification. They are basically saying that we are selling halal meat. Now, what does halal meat mean? Halal meat basically means it has been slaughtered, that the animal has been slaughtered in a ritually sanctified way by somebody who's a practicing Muslim. I think part of the procedure also involves some recitation of faith while the animal is being slaughtered. So if that is quote unquote kosher, and even there are some communities like Jews that have kosher laws wherein they are allowed to eat meat only if it's prepared in a certain way, then why is it that something like this should not be allowed as long as there is nobody else has a problem with it, right? So that is one thing. And Mr. Owaisi said something very pernicious about comparing this to the Jordan boycott. Now, there is absolutely no boycott here. Nobody is saying the Kavadiyas are not being prevented from eating at shops that are owned by people from certain communities. They are not being prevented. But if you follow your religious faith, then you are willing to, then it should be within your rights. You are well within your rights to make an informed choice. Just like if I am a Muslim, for example, I should be able to make the informed choice that, okay, if I go to a certain restaurant, then meat there would be cooked in a quote-unquote halal way. Or if I am a Jew, if I am a practicing Jew, I should also have the right to know as to whether the meat has been prepared.
Raghav Awasthi, as I bring in Ashutosh, but there's a bit of a correction. You speak about halal on how, yes, when it comes down to meat, the theological intent is that the animal was slaughtered by a practicing Muslim. But a halal certification goes on very many vegetarian products, like even Haldiram Bhujia. You and I both know that. So, and the various factories of Haldiram have plenty of Hindus who actually are the ones who are preparing those bhujiyas and various vegetarian products. There are also multiple Hindus who run and actually export meat under the name of would sound as Muslim names or Islamic names. So all of that really does happen. And where you said that there is no, nobody is stopping the Kanwar Yatra, the yatris to eat from a Muslim-owned eatery, of course, you're very, very right. But what's also happening, and there's documentary evidence of that most of these outlets, eateries, handcarts, shops have actually told the Muslims who work in their eateries not to come to work during the Yatriya. So this is economic boycott at some level, Raghav, and I'll come right back to you. But allow me to open up the panel and I'll come back to you. Ashutosh, I want to bring you in because there is merit as well, Ashutosh, because a lot of these eateries per se were being run under the names which would garb themselves in Hindu names. And if this is a pilgrimage, a religious pilgrimage of sorts, there is, apprehensions of many who would not want to eat in a place where they feel possibly maybe the food is cooked in animal fat.
Preeti, there are 2-3 angles to the entire story. The one is the purity of faith is to be maintained only for a few days, a few weeks, for the 365 days. I think anybody who's a practicing Hindu or anybody who's a practicing Muslim would like to maintain the purity of faith throughout as long as he's alive. It's not only for a few months or a few days. So that defies every logic here. The point number 2, BJP wants to take India back to the Stone Ages. Most welcome, please go and do it. But then if you're believing that the purity of faith is so important, then let's go to the Narendra Modi and request him. You come out with a central government order which should be applicable from Kashmir to Kanyakumari and from Manipur to Gujarat. Why only during the Kanwar Yatras and only by Yogi Adityanath? See, there is a bigger political story here. Basically, this order is to damage Narendra Modi and his coalition government. This morning, the newspaper has reported that RLD...
So, Ashutosh, you're saying it's a conspiracy theory by the incumbent UP government because of what has gone down in the last 3 days of the slugfest between the Sangathan and Sarkar. It is the Sarkar hitting back. That's your conspiracy theory?
It's not a conspiracy theory. It's a political analysis. Please understand this. What happened? And please follow the chronology. First, the Muzaffarnagar SSP comes out with an order. When there is a lot of hue and cries made by JDU and RLD, then what happens? He revises his order and he says, keep the voluntary. And then Yogi government comes out with an order that this will be applicable in the entire UP. So the order which was objected and criticized by JDU and RLD, जिसके समर्थन से सरकार चल रही है, if you are coming out with an order by the government itself, led by Yogi Adityanath and BJP, are you not provoking JDU and RLD?
Fair point. And also, Charu Pragya, okay.
Let me just complete.
Complete your statement.
Are you not testing their secular credentials? Why are you trying to provoke JDU and RLD? You know this government is not a 272 government, but this is the 240 government. Its survival depends on the support of these. So are you testing their secularism and secular credentials? Are you testing Chandrababu Naidu's secular credentials?
Charu Pragya, so many are reading it as headline management, ultimately. The headlines 2 days earlier was Keshav Prasad Maurya taking on Yogi Adityanath and the failure of Yogi Adityanath to deliver UP to the Prime Minister. And today it's entirely different. Because what's happening, Charu Pragya, today is, forget about what many would call the liberal lobby. Forget about what many call this bigotry. Your own ally is, and not one, you have the JDU, you have the LJP, you have the RLD all standing together and saying this is not Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, this is communal.
Preeti, good evening. Now, there was a law that was passed in 2011 which made it mandatory for all dhaba and restaurant owners to clearly display the name of the owner along with the license number. 2011. UPA government, Prime Minister Manmohan Singh ji was in office. This is merely what is called making sure that this particular order is got to task. And it's surprising that suddenly everybody is waking up to a law that was passed way back in 2011. Now, let's put some things in perspective. This is an issue of security. This is an issue of ensuring the Kanwar Yatra goes off without a hitch. This has nothing to do with secularism. What is the problem in displaying your name clearly? Nobody is stopping anyone from going to any particular state. Forget about Indians. Even if a foreigner wants to open some kind of a restaurant or a bhojanalaya on that route, they're welcome to do so. But why is it that the pilgrim should not know who is selling what, if the food being sold in a particular dhaba is pure vegetarian or not? And I was listening to the analysis that has been going on, and it's very fair. If Muslims can demand a halal certificate because it is religiously correct for them to do so during the time of Kanwar Yatra, is it unfair to expect Hindus to only eat at a place where animals have not been slaughtered? And that's not the only order that has been passed by the government of Uttar Pradesh. Let me remind everyone that there have been several orders which have been passed about the use of loudspeakers, for example, about the height of the Kanwar which is allowed, for example, to ensure the yatra goes up without a hitch, without any kind of a security stall which can create problems, being entangled in electric wires, getting into a fight, or eating something that somebody would consider bad for their religion. So it's basically that. And I think being honest about your name should not be creating such an outroar. Has anybody said that if you're a Muslim, you need to display your name? It stands true for everyone, right?
All right, okay. You know, as I bring in the the Congress spokesperson, but Charu Pragya, you speak of the 2011 order, and which was a law under the UPA, which was headed by Manmohan Singh's government. You know, I just want to correct you, and you can come back on that as well. That was for licenses which were credible, and the date of how far the license would hold for that particular eatery, that be displayed inside the store, not outside where it's painted, inside the store, so at least one knows that this was a genuine license that person held. So that's the differentiation. Just my limited point there. Number one. Number two, I want to bring in Dolly Sharma into this conversation. Dolly Sharma, like the BJP spokesperson says, why are you trying to give a communal color to it? This is about purity of faith, and nobody is just saying that the Muslims have to give out their names. It's for everybody, and ultimately, let there be transparency. Let the yatris decide where they want to eat. What's wrong in displaying your name?
See, every year, Preeti, 5 crore Kanwaryas collect Ganga Jal from Haridwar and other places in UP. First time we are listening to this. In Bihar also, Jagannath Yatra also, many pilgrims, they keep going. But first time we are listening to such thing that they have to, just write a name plate before their shops so that they know that this person is coming from this caste, this religion. But our constitution, Preeti, gives the guarantees to every citizen that he will not be discriminated against on the basis of caste, religion, language, or any other basis. So this division order to put up my name, a board in front of the shops is I think an attack on the constitution, our democracy, and our shared heritage. Creating division in society on the basis of caste and religion is a crime on the constitution. Okay. So this order should be withdrawn immediately. And
Charu Pragya wants to come in for a rebuttal, and I'll bring in Ashutosh and Raghav Avasthi at the back of this as well. Charu Pragya, the fact is, what you're doing is encouraging bigotry is the charge. Because ultimately, there are still people of the Hindu faith who will refuse to eat at a person's eatery or even buy stuff from a handcart, leave alone a Muslim, even a Dalit. And by actually making sure that these people display their name, you're actually enforcing a shadow economic ban on, forget about Muslims, even some Dalits, who maybe in the name of purity of faith, the Kanwar Yatris might not want to purchase.
So, Preeti, I just want to explain something. 240 kilometers of walking is what the pilgrim does during the Kanwar Yatra. They are very strict about their diet, consuming vegetarian food. I am saying that this is about transparency and honesty. I am saying that since when does the constitution says that you need to be one thing and represent another? This is merely a call for saying that put your name out there. Let everybody know. What is the harm in that? And let's also say that, this division in the name of religion is completely unfair, because everyone is aware more than 80% of the cowards are being made by Muslims. There is no stopping that. But tell me, if somebody is very clear they don't want to eat from a kitchen where meat has been slaughtered or prepared, why shouldn't the pilgrims be told that? And why does this need to be looked at from a different lens? Telling your name honestly or putting your name out honestly is
Raghav,
what requires, and it is a completely
But Raghav Awasthi, taking off from what Charu Pragya says, it's not really a kitchen. How does it matter whether a Salim or a Hindu name, a Surinder is selling you a banana or a mango, but you've made sure that Salim and Surinder display their names? Even on a handcart, selling fruit.
I eat everything and I don't even care about the
No, I'm not personal choices, Raghav. I'm just asking you.
Let me come to it. If there are Jews who make a choice, who make an informed choice on the basis of their religious belief, which for me is frankly incomprehensible, that they will eat meat only if it is slaughtered in a certain way. And if there are Muslims, right, who make an informed choice that since they are Muslims, they will eat meat which is slaughtered in quote-unquote halal fashion, then why is it, like, what sort of secularism is it that this choice is not extended to Hindus? And everybody
even if it pertains to a handcart, Raghav, even if it pertains to mangoes being sold, where you possibly are encouraging bigotry in the name of I will not buy mangoes from Salim, but I'll buy mango from Surinder or a banana.
If kosher and halal are bigoted, then this order is also bigoted. It's as simple as that. You can't have what is sauce for the goose is sauce for the gander. I mean, there are many places that I've seen in so-called developed countries where they say that the meat that is served here is kosher, so that any Jew might have compunction.
Somewhere down the line, the halal analogy is a little flawed, because here, like Charu Pragya, and I'll bring in Ashutosh right after that, is the fact that most of these eateries, they might be owned by Hindus, but they had employed Muslims as workers. All of them have lost their job through the course of this entire yatra. And you speak of 250 kilometers, 88 kilometers of that. 88 kilometers of that lie in Bihar from Sultanpur to Deogarh, and there this order is not implemented by your ally. But along this route, even if it is Hindu-owned, that person has made sure he doesn't have a Muslim employee anymore. Isn't this economic boycott, ma'am?
It's not at all. Let me
this is for Charu Pragya. 1 second. Charu Pragya, go ahead.
So, Preeti, that's exactly what I was trying to say. Now, the order is merely for the owners of the restaurant or the people who are manning any stall. Nobody is asking for an economic boycott, and I think it is very twisted to put it out like that. For 1 month, which is a holy month, people are fasting, people are walking, people are praying. They have the right to choose which way their astha bends. It's like telling somebody who is fasting during Ramzan that it's healthier to just drink water, or why are you waiting for the sun to set? It's actually an analogy like that. It is somebody's religion. I think it is absolutely fair if there could be spats because of this reason, if there could be arguments because of the reason, if there could be a security compromise because of this reason. Everybody has been told to follow a certain specific...
All right, okay, but it's not twisting. Okay, no, it's not twisting facts. 1 second, it's not... Okay, Dolly, I know, Dolly Sharma, you want to come in, but this is not twisting facts. These are the facts right now, which has been widely reported, where Muslim workers in Hindu joints and eateries have lost their job. Dolly Sharma, you wanted to come in for a rebuttal very quickly. I'll bring in Ashutosh.
Yeah, I said this used to happen in Nazi Germany, where special shops used to mark. They used to mark the special shops. And also, this is, they're spreading a disease of untouchability also.
So are you tomorrow going to say the
untouchability? How is this?
Bhujia, like it is not required on mangoes? Would you say that also, Dolly? It's a very logical question to you. A bhujia is not halal or otherwise.
This is not
Right?
required,
So
and this is not the
if
first time that
somebody
yatra is
requires
happening. This
the
has been
halal
happening for
certificate to
years.
be displayed on a
Okay.
pack of bhujiyas, why not follow the same law for another
Okay,
religion?
one second.
Do away with the halal certificate.
Dolly Sharma wants to come in. Please, Dolly Sharma, come in and I'll bring in
This
Ashutosh.
yatra
Dolly
is
Sharma.
happening. This is not the first time this yatra is happening. This is happening from years. So why now this time? It is because of the fear of coming, elections that are coming.
Okay.
Again, you want to
All
spread
right.
this.
Okay, Ashutosh, I want you to come in and maybe delve in a little more on what we spoke of earlier, because there seems to be multiple facets to this. One might be the purity of faith facet, and many might suggest that's the front of it, but it is the political play at the back, because if you literally see it, this would be the first discord or the first red flag, flashpoint between the NDA alliance, where you've seen 3 of its big allies, or at least 2 of its big allies, and the RLD, the third, get up and say, not happening, this is not Sabka Vikas.
See, Preeti, it's so interesting to listen to Avasthi and what Charuji is saying. I have a lot of respect for them. But I just want to know a simple fact. There are more than 250 member of parliament, member of legislative assemblies in UP from the BJP, and 33 from the BJP, member of parliament from BJP. Out of these 270, out of these almost 300, how many sons of the MLAs and the MPs are going for the Kanwar? None. If they have information, they should tell us. So Avasthi and Charu, they would love to have all kinds of food from every corner of the city, like I do, like my parents do, who are practicing Hindu and believe into the purity of faith. But I want a particular population to remain bigot. They should be maintaining the Hindu-Muslim binary. That is good for them. So this is the dichotomy of this entire argument and the debate. None of them, I can vouch for this, not a single member of parliament from the BJP has been sending their sons for the Kanwar Yatra. Not one. If they can enlighten me with one name, I'll be more than happy to do that, and I will apologize on this channel. None. None of them will join the Bajrang Dal. So they need these people to take lathis in their hand and do all kinds of things. But they're sitting in a 5-star AC kind of a thing with driving big cars and talking about all kinds of things. Second point, and that's a very important point, I think BJP has not learned their lesson. These kind of orders will further create problems for the BJP, because not only the Muslims, even the scheduled castes and the other backward castes, they will also be discriminated when the names are displayed. And take it from me, I come from UP and I know UP from the back of my hand. I know what kind of caste structure is there, what kind of discrimination is pursued, what kind of untouchability is it. So I think the BJP is not willing to learn any lesson. Good for them.
Okay. Charu Pragya, let me give you an example. Okay, I want to bring in Charu Pragya into this conversation. Charu Pragya, let me give you an example, because what happens is, way back, a lot of SC/STs and Dalits, because they did not want to give out their identity, assumed the name of Kumar. And we all know that. They started calling themselves Kumar, and they refused to carry their surname because there was a certain amount of bigotry attached to it. Now, when you say कि नाम में क्या बुरा है दिखाने के लिए, why are we ashamed of identity? These are the very reasons, because they were discriminated against. And that's why they adopted a name. And today you're asking them to come out and give out their name. What if you're subjecting them to bigotry?
So, Preeti, times have changed, and this is not the same time. Everybody can proudly carry their name. The issue here is, why hide a name or lie about a name? And there is a vast difference between the two. Whatever your name is displayed, as I was saying in the beginning of the show, in my opening remarks, if you could do it in 2011, why is it that suddenly, in the guise of secularism, you are saying this is bigotry? It's absolutely not bigotry. Where in this order any religion has been mentioned? Nothing has been mentioned.
True.
But as someone who's a pilgrim, they have a right to know. And if you have nothing to write, or hide. Putting your name out in an open and transparent manner, I don't see what is the problem with that, and everything should not be colored with this, color of secularism every single time. That's really not needed.
I've run out of time. I know everyone wants to get a word in.
Only
I
10
apologize.
seconds, Preeti.
Sir,
Preeti,
I am...
only 10 seconds.
Sir, 5 seconds. 3 lines, sir.
5 seconds. My name is आशुतोष. जब कोई मुझसे पूछता है ना यूपी में, कहता है आपका क्या नाम है? आशुतोष. आगे तो कुछ होगा? नहीं, आशुतोष. मैंने कुछ तो होगा, बताइए. तो फिर मेरे फादर का नाम पूछते हैं, उनका ही नाम में भी नहीं है. This is the caste identity in India, in UP. You can't.
I am also from.
Okay, now 5 seconds, Raghav Avasthi. 5 seconds. 5 seconds, Raghav Avasthi.
I am also from UP. Nobody asked me my last name in UP.
Okay, I'm going to. Okay.
I don't know which.
Let's take this offline. Let's take this offline on what each of you are called. I've run out of time, but thank you all 4 of you for joining us. We leave it for our viewers to decide once again: religious profiling or religious sensitivity. You decide.